Good evening. This is the Hanson Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, June 4th, 2019, and we are going to go into executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, for the discussion of the complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, and I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Hanson Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, June 4th, and we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm wondering if I might impose upon Mr. Mattson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Yep. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all for coming, and we're here, as you know, to recognize a Vietnam vet, Mr. Mattson. And with us tonight are Senator Brady and State Representative Josh Cutler, as well as our Veterans Agent, Tim White, and a whole room of other dignitaries. And I think we'll hand it over to Senator Brady and Representative.
Yeah, Representative Cutler's going to start, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, who's the chair?
I'm the chair.
Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing us to come in and do this, and I very much appreciate it. I am here, very pleased to be here with Corporal Mattson, his wife and family, and so many family and friends, to recognize some really heroic actions. And I would beg, if you will allow me for a moment, I'd like to just introduce our special guest tonight and explain why we're here, if I may. Corporal Everett Mattson served in the, let me start from the start. Corporal Everett Mattson grew up in Brockton with his parents and siblings. He left high school early to go to work, worked 2 jobs to help his parents financially. In 1965, he was drafted into the Army and chose to enter the Marine Corps instead. He was sent to boot camp, the Marine Corps base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, for infantry training. He was assigned to the 2nd Marine Division, sent for 6 months to Spain, Italy, and France. He returned to the United States for brief training in California, and then Okinawa, Japan, for more training. He was trained in directing helicopter pilots how to land. In early 1966, Corporal Mattson was sent to Vietnam. He saw heavy enemy combat during his service. As we all know, there were quite challenging conditions in Vietnam. There were many casualties. Throughout the course of the war, more than 58,000 U.S. soldiers were killed. Corporal Mattson, after his service, he left Vietnam in the fall of 1966. Back in the States, he was granted a 30-day leave to return home, and then he returned back to Camp Lejeune for several additional months. In April of 1967, Corporal Mattson was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps. Just the next month, he met his future wife, Carol, a resident of Whitman. They married and settled in Hanson to raise a family, some of whom are here with us today. They've been happily married for 52 years. Together they raised 5 children, 4 daughters and a son. 3 of the Mattson's children live nearby in Hanson, Halifax, and the Cape. One lives in Pennsylvania. And they have 9 grandchildren. Mr. Mattson worked at the Fore River Shipyard, General Dynamics, in the 1970s until it was closed in 1986. The reason I wanted to recount that, and the reason we're here tonight, is that Corporal Mattson recently received what's known as the Combat Action Ribbon. And I'd like to explain what that is for. The Combat Action Ribbon is awarded to those USC service members who have, quote, actively participated in ground or surface combat. For a military member to be awarded a Combat Action Ribbon, evidence must establish the individual sailor or Marine physically engaged the enemy, was under hostile fire, or was physically attacked by the enemy. The service member's enemy engagement must have been with honor to the United States and to the satisfaction of the service. In 2004, Corporal Mattson wrote a letter requesting review of his eligibility for the Combat Action Ribbon. That letter was not immediately responded to, so he wrote additional letters. And finally, in December of 2018, so that's a number of years later, he received a letter from the Department of the Navy, Marine Corps Headquarters, Military Awards Branch, verifying his military service in Vietnam and containing the long-awaited Combat Action Ribbon. The letter did not, I will say this diplomatically, did not recognize in a befitting way, I would say, the service that Corporal Mattson has given to his country. The Combat Action Ribbon was merely taped to the letter. And so tonight we're here to rectify that. And as a community, as a Commonwealth, and as a nation, to come in a small way to thank you very publicly. I know Corporal Mattson did not, he's a reluctant witness today. He did not want to be here. He's a humble person. But we are here. We think it's necessary to recognize his heroic service, along with the many folks from his community, from his family, from the Legion post here. So we appreciate your willingness to go along with this, Corporal Mattson. I know, yes. And what we'd like to do now is we have several folks who would like to say a few words and make some presentations. I just wanted to acknowledge a couple folks. First off, personally just want to thank my staff member, Gigi Meraki, who was kind enough to do a lot of the research and legwork to put together the event. So Gigi, you want to just wave? Thank you. This issue was first brought to us by a colleague of mine, Representative Carolyn Dykema, and I want to thank Curtis Armitage. Curtis, where's Curtis? I just saw him. Curtis. Curtis is a counselor in the Veterans Center in Brockton, and he had originally reached out to us to alert us about the situation. He has worked with Corporal Mattson for many years and has done terrific work. I think you introduced him to beekeeping. Is that correct?
That's true, yeah.
That's true. And I know the beekeeping, I hear that you got some good honey coming, or will soon.
So I introduced him. He now has 15 hives. I'm not responsible for that.
15 hives. So thank you, Curtis, for bringing this forward. Really very much appreciate that. So at this time, we're gonna have Senator Brady has a presentation. Also, I know Chairwoman Kemet or former Chair Mitchell. I don't know who would prefer to do that. And also we have Chris Matthews here from Congressman William Keating's office, and Tim White, our Veterans Officer for the town of Hanson, also has some remarks and presentation as well. So bear with us. We have a lot of folks because we're so proud of Corporal Mattson, and we all want to take a moment to be able to thank him and recognize him. So we will start off with Senator Brady, if you will, and I believe you have a citation
Yes.
for him. All right, great. Thank you, Senator Brady. If everyone could just, when you speak, come up to the microphone here so we can capture your words. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cutler and Madam Chair and Board of the Selectmen. Thank you for having us here today, and to all the people that made this possible, your staff and the staff from Brockton, and thank you to all the veterans who are here today to honor Corporal Mattson. And we do a lot in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to honor veterans with the Valor Act and the Welcome Home Bill, but this recognition is long overdue, and it's too bad it's come this long. And thank you to Carolyn Dykema and Representative Josh Cutler and the rest of the crew that helped get this started and come to fruition. So this is official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Mr. Everett Butch Mattson, your overdue receipt of the Combat Service Ribbon for your time serving in Vietnam. Please accept my gratitude for your service. And this is signed by the President of the Senate, Karen Spilka, the Clerk of the Senate, Michael Hurley, myself, Mike Brady, and this is dated today, June 4th, 2019. Thank you, sir.
right, thank you very much, Senator. Next up, again, we want to thank the Board of Selectmen for allowing us to do this during your meeting. And I understand our distinguished Selectman Wes Bloss is going to make a presentation. Thank you, Wes.
Town of Hanson, official citation. Be it hereby known to all that the Hanson Board of Selectmen takes this means to express its most sincere appreciation to Corporal Everett L. Mattson, Jr., in official recognition of his service to our country as a corporal in the United States Marine Corps from 1965 to 1967. Having seen combat during the Vietnam conflict, and just only recently been awarded the Combat Action Ribbon by the United States government, the Hanson Board of Selectmen wishes to congratulate you. Your patience and perseverance in acquiring the long-awaited and much-deserved honor of the Combat Action Ribbon is a testament to your commitment to the service and your country. The town of Hanson wishes to recognize you and express the community's deepest appreciation for your service to your family, neighbors, and countrymen. In testimony whereof, we, the town of Hanson Board of Selectmen, sign our names officially on this 4th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2019.
We're not done yet. We're pleased to have Chris Matthews here from Congressman William Keating's office. Congressman has been a great friend to veterans, and we appreciate his service, and thank Chris for coming here on behalf of the Congressman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Representative Cutler, Senator Brady. My father was a Vietnam-era veteran. He served in Korea during Vietnam, and a story that stuck out was, I think he was flying back from Fort Drum and being in his uniform, and I don't know whether somebody said something to him or gave him a dirty look in the airport, but just the idea that our service members weren't respected during the Vietnam War was so foreign to me. And working in Congressman Keating's office, I hear stories like that all the time. And I think it's widely known now, with a sense of shame, that 50 years ago, when our veterans returned from Vietnam, when our service members returned from Vietnam, they did not receive the respect and honor that they receive today, and certainly did not receive the respect and honor that they deserve. So it's an honor tonight to, on behalf of Congressman Keating, say welcome home, Corporal Mattson, and thank you for your service, and congratulations on receiving this award. Our nation should be judged on how we treat our veterans who put their lives on the line to protect us, which means no veteran should have to wait for housing, for medical care, for the benefits they deserve. And certainly no veteran should have to wait 50 years for an award that they certainly deserved. And I think it speaks to your perseverance and your character as a Marine that you stuck this out on your own for 14 years and fought for this. And I just want you to know, and I want every veteran in this room to know, that our office is here to help. If you ever have an issue, please reach out to us. We're here to fight through the bureaucracy so that you don't have to do this on your own. So with that, I have a certificate of congressional recognition from Congressman Keating, who is down in Washington today. Otherwise, he would be here. And he's actually preparing to head to Normandy tomorrow for the observance of the 75th anniversary of D-Day. But I have here a certificate of special congressional recognition, proudly presented to Everett Mattson, in recognition of your service in combat as a United States Marine, as you receive your Combat Action Ribbon. This 4th day of June, 2019, William R. Keating, Representative, 9th District, Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
We got hot mics here, Corporal. Thank you, Chris. Want to recognize and have our terrific veteran service officer for the town of Hanson come up. Tim White really was integral to putting this whole ceremony and event together, and all the veterans in Hanson know what a great asset he is for us here in Hanson and beyond. So I want to thank Tim White, and I know he has some remarks and some perhaps things to offer as well. So welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Representative Cutler. Madam Chair, good evening, Senator Brady, the American Legion members for supporting Corporal Mattson. Thank you for coming. Mr. Mattson, we haven't met before. My name is Tim White. I'm the Veterans Agent for the town, and I want to thank you for your service. Representative Cutler already kind of summarized something, but I thought I would just read a couple of things about the Combat Action Ribbon for the benefit of the local TV audience and for the family and friends who are here. The Navy Combat Action Ribbon was established during the Vietnam War by a Secretary of Navy notice dated February 17, 1969, with a retroactive award to the 1st of March, 1961. The Navy Combat Action Ribbon is awarded to members of the Navy and Marine Corps and Coast Guard when operating under the control of the Navy during a war or national emergency, with the grade of captain or colonel and below, who have actively participated in ground or surface combat. A combat action ribbon is not automatic. After consideration of specified criteria, the member's service may award the combat action ribbon. For a military member to be awarded a combat action ribbon, evidence must establish the individual sailor or Marine physically engaged the enemy, was under hostile fire, or was physically attacked by the enemy. The service member's enemy engagement must have been with honor to the United States and to the satisfaction of the service. And with that said, it's a heck of a long time, and I'm happy that it finally came through for you, sir, but I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the town of Hanson. I wanted to thank you for your service. I don't have a citation to give you, but if you come see me, I promise I'll bust my hump for you and whatever your needs are, and we'll help you out in any way we can. But thank you very much, and thank you very much to the family and friends for supporting Corporal Mattson.
Thank you very much. I thank all of you for coming out. I just was asking Mr. Corporal Mattson if he wanted to come up, but true to his roots, he's a man of deeds and not words, and so he would prefer to let the remarks stand. Again, we want to thank you on behalf of the men and women of the Massachusetts Legislature and Governor Baker and all of us here. We deeply appreciate your service. We have, this isn't certainly on the level of the combat pin, but we have a pin here from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a legislative pin to add to your collection, and along with your citations and commendations. So we're going to conclude our ceremony here. Still, the door's open to come up if you'd like. No? Okay. All right. Very, understood. We've your friends tell us. We appreciate you letting us do this. I know this wasn't your idea; it was our idea, but we appreciate. They don't want you to talk. They're afraid of what you might say. Well, again, one final time. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
I didn't know who was going to read it. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Sorry, John. This is Uncle Butch.
I know. He's my grandfather, your uncle.
Well, again, on behalf of the town, would like to express our gratitude. You are all welcome to stay, but it is somewhat like watching paint dry. So that's really up to you folks, but if you want to, we can take a brief session and let you guys leave and maybe go back to the post. That would be great.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the hospitality.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, gentlemen.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Okay, we're back from our break, and it is 7:30, and we are scheduled to have a hearing regarding 81 Ocean Avenue, regarding a violation of Hanson General Bylaw 3-11. And with us is our building inspector, Mr. Bob Curran, and Mr. Curran, we would love to hear from you on this matter. Do I have to vote to open the hearing?
Do we have to open the hearing?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Want to say it?
A motion to open up the hearing for discussion of complaints, I'm sorry, I'm right in the wrong spot, for the hearing on 81 Ocean Ave, the violation of General Bylaw 311.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, Mr.
Good
Curran.
evening. How is everybody? I have some pictures I'd like to pass around. I don't know if you got them on your computer.
Yeah.
Yes, we have
But
them.
we'll still take
I'm
it.
going to refer to, so if you
Yep.
don't mind, is there in color?
Okay.
They should be in color on the iPads too. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you.
This property has been to the Board of Selectmen prior to this. The enforcement from my office, or at least trying to get him in this property in compliance with Section 3-11 of our general bylaws, started in 2009. In September of 2009, there was a hearing with the Board of Selectmen, and they did determine that the property is detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare. Cleanup progressed to 2013, April 2000, and then it was completed. But a notice was presented to the owner, delivered by the police in April of 2019, and a follow-up letter was mailed out to the owner in May of 2019. We never did go to court because this property was cleaned up. The property is worse than it's ever been today. I've been monitoring it. I was there this afternoon. And what I'm requesting is to gain compliance with this one. My feeling is we should engage town council to seek a order from the court to clean it up, followed by a permanent injunction to keep this property clean. It's pretty much as simple as that. This is not a zoning bylaw. This is a general bylaw. This is enforced by the Board of Selectmen, and I am acting as an agent the best I can. So this has been a problem property for a while, and as you know, we've had some issues down there. But once you deem that this property is in violation, I think we can move forward, and with your permission, we'll engage council.
I'll open it up for discussion. Any questions?
Yeah, it looks pretty obvious to me.
Right.
Yeah. And these just, the pictures, when were the pictures taken, Bob?
The pictures are dated. There was one.
That's the date on there, the May.
May 29th. I had taken several pictures. I tried to give the board the most current. There is one picture at the end that says it should identify it as been taken by a neighbor.
Okay.
And that's one that I can't testify that I took, but I did go out there today and I saw this.
Okay.
So there's been some effort to clean up, but not even close to enough to satisfy the neighborhood.
Okay. I'm satisfied.
And so, in your professional opinion, this presents a health and safety hazard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But ultimately, I think this board needs to determine that for the courts to take action.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Do we need to read the
Yeah,
motion?
Yes, please do.
Do you want me to read the motion?
Yes, please.
I move that the board find that based upon the evidence supplied by the building commissioner, the property located at 81 Ocean Avenue, Hanson, is detrimental to the public good, and accordingly, that the board issue a corresponding written determination to the building commissioner and authorize the building commissioner to work with town council to remedy the situation using litigation if necessary.
Can we, I'd like to, you've moved it, so I'd like to have it seconded now that you've read it out, just to make sure
Second.
that, okay. All in favor? Thank you. And I understand we have
We have an additional property.
additional, which is an 8 PM hearing.
Right.
Okay. And have we scheduled the permit fee discussion?
We can do that right now and kill some time and then go to the 8 o'clock.
I think that's appropriate.
So we're going to vote to close this hearing. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? And then we'll reopen when we get to 8 PM. So with that, we're going to juggle the agenda a bit, and we're fortunate enough to have Mr. Curran here. And Bob, if you would be so kind as to discuss the building department fees proposals that you've sent to us.
Absolutely. Right now, the permit fees are based on amount of money per thousand we charge for permit fees. Permit fees are designed to cover the costs and expenses of the building department to run as it should. The fees have been $10 a thousand for a long time. We did go up on a few fees back in 2015, but we didn't go up in the basic cost per thousand. I'm proposing, there's a reason for this, is that we don't have any large projects scheduled in this town. We are going to have a really good year for building permits for roofing, siding, renovations, and small additions, but there's nothing that I see that's going to be major. There's not a lot of commercial work coming. And what I see is that the forecast over the next 5 years is that the fees will be down. In order for us to cover our costs, we did some review of other building departments. Whitman, we've gone up to pretty much to mirror this. Board of Selectmen approved it over there. Bridgewater is pretty much the same pricing. Other towns price permit fees based on per square foot, which is hard to calculate and figure the difference. But basically, these permits, to give you an idea, a new addition will go up approximately $100 on a $40,000 addition. A new house for a $250,000 house, the permit fee will go up about $400. The plumbing and gas fees went up approximately 12%. I think it's appropriate. It brings up most permits to a minimum of $50 for plumbing, electrical, and gas. And the building permit also went up. We added a couple of extra fees. One of them was a re-inspection fee, which we've never charged before. I've had a re-inspection fee for wherever I worked for Whitman has one, and I've never really charged that unless we have somebody that's chronic. Typically, a homeowner, I would never charge a re-inspection fee because part of my job is to teach them how. But for contractors that are frequent flyers that are constantly requesting additional inspections, or I fail it and there has to be a re-inspection, we need to have that too. So it's a $25 fee that's added into it. And then there's a replacement card fee of $20 because we have to do the research and bring in the other inspectors to have them sign off the cards once they lose them. And that's something that will probably not be used very often, but if we need to, we can use that. I think the fees are appropriate. I think that'll bring us up to what we should be, and it will help my department run as it should.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions? Matt?
Through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Curran, I just had a quick question. On the new proposed fees, it said certificate of occupancy. That's highlighted as it was as it changed.
Yes.
But on the old fees, it's the same $50 flat fee.
Then that one hasn't gone up. That was the one that I don't know why that got highlighted. But
Okay,
that
I
hasn't
just wanted to
changed.
make sure.
$50 is the appropriate amount.
All right, thank you.
I think before, we might have changed that in 2015, it was prior, it was $40.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mitchell, did you have something?
Yeah, just, Bob, quick question. The sign fee, Is that for a business for application to put a sign out, or is that a yard sign?
Not yard signs. We don't issue permits for yard signs.
Okay.
So the signs have to be in compliance with zoning bylaw for signs, and yard signs are not. Anything, I think it's under 9 square feet doesn't require a permit anyways.
Okay.
So political signs, that's not part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Hickey, Mr. Bloss, anything?
Nope.
Okay, great. Did you have, I know you did some forecasting, and I have to say, I really appreciate you doing that proactively, so that, we're not saying 2 years from now, wait a minute, we didn't get the revenue, what's happening? So I thank you, and I thank Anne Marie for doing that. Have you got any kind of an estimate on what you think we might get with this increase, or?
I think it's going to bring us up to what we collected over the busier years. And it should be kind of average and stable.
Okay.
And I have the total fees collected for 2016, 17, and 18. In 16, we collected 165,879. 17, 199,707. That was a busy year.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of projects going on. 2018, it starts to drop, 148,214.
Okay.
Year to date, we're at 31.7. We should be more than that.
Yeah.
So I can see that we're going to be kind of running in the red in the building department, so I wanted to get ahead of that.
I think that's great, and I appreciate that you did some competitive analysis to see what other towns were doing, and it sounds like you really kicked the tires on it. Does anybody have any other questions, or? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the new fee schedule for the building department.
Second.
Are we doing all of them, or?
Yes, all the ones that are highlighted.
Yeah, it's
Good.
all the fees in our department.
Are you
Electrical.
saying, do you want us to read plumbing fees, gas fees?
I just want to make sure that's what he's talking about. You're talking about all the
correct.
fees,
Yeah, all
okay.
fees.
Plumbing, gas, electrical, and building permit fees.
Okay. So moved and seconded, all in favor? Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'll see you in
you.
a few minutes.
Unfortunately, we still have to have 20 minutes of filling in the gap until we have our 8 o'clock hearing.
We can do that. Who's Bob? The license?
Yes.
Bob can comment on that.
Bob, while you're here, and I'm sorry, since I'm not meaning to have you be a jack in the box there, but could we discuss the Class 2 license for upscale auto at 169A Franklin?
Yes, I did inspections. It was in January. I did all the auto dealer inspections. I usually do those right around the same time I do the liquor licenses with the fire department. I had some issues with that one at that time, and I wrote a letter regarding the appearance of the property, and there was a fence that was in disrepair. I did a re-inspection last week, and there were cars with flat tires there. There was junk doors actually piled against the fence, and the fence hadn't been repaired. So
Now, we had provisionally approved this based on a
Conditioned
commitment
on
that he would
they would
address
make
these
those
issues.
repairs.
Yeah.
I did talk to
Okay.
I think it was a representative of the license holder yesterday, and I said that I was unwilling to suggest that you issue it conditionally again. I think you should suspend, my advice is to suspend until they've brought it into compliance. I did look at another property, is it Specialty Auto on Liberty Street? Today, he is under the number of cars he's allowed, but I did a site inspection yesterday afternoon, and I asked him to get rid of, he's got some car parts out in the back, and it's a little bit out of control, and he has promised to clean that up. He's kept the front of that property clean since the letter I sent him last year. It's been a lot better, and he's got a planting area out front, so it's not so crowded.
Okay,
But he did remove a lot of the cars that were over.
great. Did anybody have any questions? I think, Matt, you've been particularly concerned about following up on this.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up.
Yep, okay. Anybody have any concerns? I'll entertain a motion.
Is there anybody here to speak on it?
Is there any, oh,
Yes.
yes. Thank you, Mary.
Well, yeah, no, basically, one of our partners had spoke with him, and we're just pretty much in the process. We thought we had the stuff up to, we worked on the trailer, and we made a rope fence, we put a handicap sign. We were just kind of a little confused about the fence that he needed, that he wanted us to repair. So my partner, I spoke with him yesterday, and we're just in the process of getting it all together. It's just been a little difficult when I didn't, well, the head of the dealership he's paralyzed, so it makes it a little difficult to like, work some things out. But when we didn't, after, I know we had the time, we thought, when I didn't hear again, I thought we would have been all set, but apparently you guys were giving us just extra time over the 45 days. So I thought we were like in compliance at that point. So we're just pretty much gonna, this whole week, get everything we need to get together and then come back to you guys to try to get it all worked out and just move forward.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying. I think our building inspector is making a recommendation because we have already extended.
Definitely.
And which we're not required to do, and, a provisional. So I appreciate that you're going to address the issues that our building inspector has identified for you. Do you guys have any comments or thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
or-
I have to, based on what Bob said, I agree with Laura, we have to support the suspension, but however, if you get everything cleaned up and Bob comes to us and says, hey, look, he's good to go,
Yeah.
then I'm fine with it, but right now, today, I have to vote to support.
Yeah,
the
and I will make
suspension.
myself available for whatever you need for inspections. I'm happy to
I
help.
completely understand.
And
Yeah.
we meet again in 2 weeks, so.
Look, we want to support small businesses, we're all about it, we're glad you're here, and, but we do have regulations we've got to comply
We
with.
definitely
And
appreciate
you
that.
know,
You guys-
so-
What's your name, sir?
My name's Pierre Delva,
Okay, Pierre Delver. Spell your last name?
DELVA.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, have you provided them, or can you provide them with a very clear punch list of what
Yeah,
they're going to need to do?
I think that was addressed in my letter. Mary, you still have
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
They have it.
And I mail it, what's in their packets as well.
Again, basically, it's repair the fence. There's pickets of the fence on the ground with nails sticking out of them. Any cars that are there for display have to be for sale, and they have to have air in the tires. Any car parts need to be removed, and they're well aware of it.
So I think we can see you're willing to work with us, you can see we're willing to work with you. So, you've got the letter, if you've got questions, give Mr. Curran a call. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I guess then I'm sorry.
No.
I just have one
Yeah.
question then, Bob. So let's say they get this, they're suspended right now, pending our vote, but they know what they have to do. So if they can get it done within 2 weeks, you could come back to us and say.
I'll go out there on a Saturday or Sunday to look at it.
Our next meeting is
Whatever I
the
can do.
18th.
And
So-
just, Bob wouldn't even have to come back to us. A simple email to Mary saying the place is cleaned up would be
Oh,
fine with
okay.
me,
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
Happy to help, whatever I can do.
Okay, so anybody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You
sir.
said it's the 18th you're meeting?
Our
Yes.
next meeting will be the 18th, and if you're up to par, then we'll put you on the agenda and hopefully vote to reinstate.
So figure the Thursday before to be safe, because Mary posts the agenda on Friday morning.
Okay.
So
okay.
that,
So, yeah, we'll definitely.
that Thursday before the 8th, I don't have a calendar, is really when you want to have it done before.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Okay, and we are just moving along. We have tabled the discussion regarding 40B regulations, and we will be having that on the 18th. Mary, I would like to have a suggestion from you as to what on the agenda you think would fill the next 15 minutes.
We could, if you want to talk about the building maintenance, I don't know where you want to go with that, but we can talk about the calendar.
Okay, why don't we?
I don't know if people had an opportunity to look at it, but this is what I have come up with for a plan for the next fiscal year. We did a similar type of calendar last year. I thought it worked out pretty well, setting up times in which the town accountant will come in and do reports to us, the meetings, and right now I have a meeting set in August. I think it's August 13th, and Laura will not be available, so I can adjust that. If anybody else has vacation plans and we want to work our meetings around that, we can do that. So if you want to wait, look it over, check your social calendars, and see how it fits into the calendar I created.
It's good with me.
I would like to just have everybody take a look at it and reflect on whatever your vacation time is, and then let Mary know. But I'd also like to drill down a bit on some of the things that we've expressed as a board that we know that we have had a lack of process around. Specifically, I'd like to impose on ourselves a deadline by which we need to start meeting with FinCom. I see Mr. Powers here tonight. And we've, not really done that in the past. We've kind of left that sort of to grow organically, and that hasn't necessarily worked well. So I'd like to see us put a little bit more definition around a date. And I don't have a particular date in mind, but I'm wondering if you might be able to reach out to Kevin and Patrick and those guys and just say like, hey, when do you think you'd have the preliminary numbers, so that we could at least get our head around that, so that we're prepared for town meeting and we're not sort of, having all these last minute meetings just before town meeting.
Well, to be fair to Finance Committee.
And I know they don't always get the stuff. I get that. Yeah.
Correct. A lot of the numbers are actually generated
Yes.
from our office.
Yes.
And they review them, so it's a work in progress with the town accountant putting those particular numbers together. I've got to compliment the department heads. When I give them the deadline, this is when the budgets are due, we usually have them. And then it's a matter of going through the process of sitting down with each of the departments. This is what you're requesting, what can you live with, and putting the budget together. So it's really starts from the town administrator's office and working with the town accountant to get some good numbers. But it doesn't mean that the finance committee can't stop in on a basis, and that's why I have that's why I have the town accountant in there 3 times during the course of the year to give us an update. Finance committee can chime in and see what's going on. But
Patrick, how do you feel about that? Because we've got Todd, and of course we all think he's quite excellent. We know he's quite excellent. But, what do you think about being part of that conversation, just so we know where your heads are at, on a more continuous basis? I'm sorry, Kevin, I didn't even see you over there. I'm not wearing my glasses, so please don't think I was ignoring you. It's a big blur.
Todd and I are in a bi-weekly conversation.
So do you mind being part when Todd comes to us, just in case,
The issue becomes that we usually meet on the same night.
Okay.
So that's where we've had the trouble making the meetings work in the past. So
Okay.
usually I meet with Todd during the day before he comes here for his quarterly report, and we go over sort of where we are with the numbers.
If you feel comfortable with the process and you feel like your voice is part of what Todd's telling us, then I think the board would be fine with it.
Todd and I are on the same page, usually pretty much all the time. So
Okay.
in the past, I don't think we've had an issue yet.
Okay. All right, great, then we'll leave it as is. One other thing, Mary, I'm wondering if we can update, so I thank you for putting in the evaluation of TA on a, regular basis. At that same time, I think it would be good if we review progress on our goals, because they're kind of simpatico, and it would be good if we looked at those 2 things together, or they should be simpatico. And then, I guess if anybody had any other feedback, we could just shoot Mary an email individually, so as to not constitute a deliberation, and then you can compile that.
One other thing that might be nice, just for the public to kind of see too, is maybe have department heads, if they're available on Tuesday nights, just to kind of come in and briefly talk about what projects that they're working on, so we can also give them public recognition of, hey, you're working on this grant, you're working on this project, great job, keep on going.
I think that's a fabulous idea, Matt, and I think where you're going with that is, rather than sort of catch as catch can, we could sort of kind of map out, library this month, so it's a conservation, whatever. Does that seem?
Sure, we could put a calendar, give them a heads up that this month is going to be your month to come in. They don't have to come in every meeting, unless you want one department head come in each meeting.
Yeah, and
it's historically, years ago, once a month, all the department heads came in. They all had a time.
I don't think we're suggesting that. No.
No.
But I do think we're
Having at
having
least
a
one person
star
in.
of the day kind of feature where they're going to come in, this month might be the library, or this meeting might be the library. We don't want to have it be, have them feel compelled to go on and on for an hour or so, but maybe
just 10, 15
to 20 minutes type of thing. Hit the high points. What are you working on? What do you need our support to help do? What are you going to be doing in the future? That type of thing. So does that seem like something that you could?
Sure. Next department head meeting, we can assign each department head a month.
How do you guys feel about that? Okay.
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay. All right, great. Any other thoughts on the calendar? And we're just being so efficient that we still have 10 minutes almost.
You got
So-
old business.
I do have old
do
business. We've got the School Repair Committee, discussion relative to reducing the membership to 5. Do we have Mr. Garvey here? I didn't see him.
I didn't see him.
Wes, I know that you're on that committee, and I know there's been a problem with having a quorum because of the number of people. And I guess the elephant in the room is the relevancy of continuing to have that school repair committee. Is that something that we think we should have, or does this kind of wrap into the broader discussion about overall town building maintenance and all of that we've touched upon as a board? We haven't really delved into, but we've touched upon, what's the process, who do we have, how do we prioritize?
I can only say, I mean, we had one unofficial meeting without a quorum, so no business was enacted. I have no history with this board.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just newly appointed to it. At this point, I understand that Mr. Garvey and Mr. Hayes of the school committee are sitting down together and meeting at some point, but I don't know if that has happened yet or when it will, to discuss this issue.
So perhaps we should table this until that conversation has happened?
I think that's a conversation that has to be had between
Okay.
Mr. Garvey and Mr. Hayes.
Okay,
We're gonna,
I'll save my opinion for when it comes back on.
okay.
Me too.
Are you guys okay with tabling
Yeah,
this?
absolutely.
Okay, all right.
I want to make sure I make the right decision, so yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right, we are really clipping along here.
We can go over the board's committee assignments. I was able to, they aren't on your on the Dropbox, because I threw them together just before the meeting started.
You said there was a couple that,
So, currently on the Plymouth County Advisory Board, Wes is
Wes
the,
is.
You're the,
and I'm the alternate.
and
Right.
you're the alternate. Are you guys okay with that? Because they're the ones who need to know. I know you've already notified him and told him you will come.
I've already
but-
said I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, currently for Laura, we have, the chairman, we have the 200th Anniversary Committee, the McQuon School Reuse Committee, Economic Development, and TIF Committee.
I'm also on OCPC.
Okay.
The reason I mention that is that is one that I think that I would like to not be on any longer this year. And I think, if I'm being a bit presumptuous, Mr. Dyer, I think that it's something you might, in particular, find interesting and get something out of.
Correct. I just was trying to recall.
And I'm sorry to
one thing.
throw this on you, because I didn't talk to you about it ahead of time.
Could you just remind me when they meet?
They meet on the last Wednesday of every month.
Okay,
But during the day?
No, they don't meet it during the day. They meet at 7 o'clock in
Oh,
Brockton.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, one more thing, sure.
You'll take that under advisement, or are you willing to take that on?
I'm willing to take it on.
Okay, great. So I think that that's one we have to appoint.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Oh, was that too early?
No,
Little bit.
we applaud your vigor
Second.
and excitement. Okay, all in favor? Okay, great, thank you, Matt. Did anybody want to change any of the other assignments?
So I'll go through
yeah.
the others. Matt is 200th Anniversary, Final Plymouth County Hospital, and Energy Committee. You're not coming off energy.
No, I'm not coming off energy.
Oh, I know, I'm telling you.
She's not asking you, she's telling you.
Matt is not, he is on the 200th, but as a citizen.
Yes.
Okay, the selectman designee is me.
You,
And the only reason I mention that is because it's going to be a moot point anyway, because you'll still be on the board next year, and, yeah. I was just thinking if
And
terms
then
expire.
also liaison to recreation.
Liaison to recreation, yep.
Is there anything you want to give up, Matt?
I think I'll probably reduce my time in 200th Anniversary and kind of dedicate that last Wednesday to
That seems appropriate. So
Yeah.
did anybody else want to, so do you still want to stay as an appointed by the selectmen as a citizen at large on the 200?
No, I'll step down to free up my seat.
Okay, so will you just
I'll send a
pen a little
resignation letter. Yep.
resignation, and then we'll make that
Does it
official?
have to be a selectman, or it could just be a
No,
citizen?
no, he
Okay.
happened to apply before he even ran.
Oh, gotcha.
Because that's the kind of guy he is. And so, we'd just be looking at another citizen at large with that resignation. Okay.
Sure thing.
All right, great. Any other ones, Mary?
Okay. And then we have Jim Hickey is on the Drainage Committee and the Oldham Pond Committee.
Yeah,
You good with those?
yeah.
That's it?
How about streetlights? They meet once every 3 years, so I'll grab that one.
Remember, we haven't even done that committee because we haven't just quite decided what's going to happen with that committee. So
Okay.
if we reinstitute it, you can get that one.
Okay, I'm good with what I have.
And Wes, Open Space and School Repair, and then Plymouth County Advisory. We're good with that? Kenny, Parks and Fields, Highway and Emergency Communication,
You got it?
and we're good with that?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay, great.
Okay,
And,
so,
we'll take under advisement if there are additional liaison type of positions that we may need to work on, but, any
Can
other?
I interrupt?
Yeah.
Just say, so Mary, on the announcements tonight, we crossed out energy. The Energy Committee, I believe, is filled, so it doesn't need any volunteers.
okay,
And the Recreation Commission is also filled,
Oh,
okay.
so neither one of those need volunteers. When we're doing announcements in the future, they can be
But we
taken
do
off
have
the
a,
list.
we do have a open spot for a citizen at large on the 200th
Yeah, so we'll keep that
Anniversary
there.
Committee.
Yep.
Yes, I'm not taking that off.
Okay.
Okay, well, we are at the hour. We've been extremely productive.
So just before we go there, I just want you to vote that we're voting the reappointments to the committee assignments with the changes we've already
I'll
discussed.
entertain a
If we could do
motion.
that.
So moved.
Second? Can I get a second? Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. With that, we will open up the hearing for 246 East Washington Street for a violation of Hansel General Bylaw 3-11. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. And we'll go to the vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, great. Okay, Bob, thanks for joining us. So we're here to discuss 246 East Washington Street
I
violation
have
of,
248 East Washington Street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay. Then I think that's what we're here to discuss.
248?
248, yep.
Yeah, what's crazy is in one of my inspections, it says 246, so. This is another property that's similar, violation of Article 3-11, and I have some pictures. This one's been going on since 2012.
And I'm sorry, given this little disconnect, can I just verify that we know that we let the concerned parties know that we would be having this hearing?
This, yeah, I'll give a history on this.
Okay,
one.
all right, great.
This property has already been to court, Superior Court. It's 2014. Enforcement started in 2012. That was the first letter. February of 2013, second letter. April of 2013 was the third request. September of 2013, there was a notice of a hearing with the Board of Selectmen. October 2013, written complaint from neighbor. I then tried to work with the property owner to get him to clean it up. Nothing was done or not sufficient. And in June 17th of 2014, the hearing was had with the Board of Selectmen, and they did deem the property detrimental to public safety, health, and good. We then went to court, and the owner of the property cleaned up the property sufficient for me to say he was okay. We went back to court, and there was not a permanent injunction issued, which we probably should have done. However, we've already got case saying, forcing this gentleman to clean up his property, but we need to start with this board again.
Okay.
So our intention would be much similar to the one on Ocean Ave. We will go to court and we'll seek a permanent injunction in order to clean up with a permanent injunction to refrain from the clutter. You can see on the pictures, this has become a boatyard, junkyard. I haven't entered the property to take pictures. I take them from outside of it. It's much worse if I get even a little bit closer. If we have to address the court with some better photos, we will need to get an administrative search warrant. This one's been difficult. I think it's a hoarding issue more than anything, and I think we should treat it more like that than anything else, so it becomes difficult. And so I need your support to take it further.
Did anybody have any
Yeah,
questions?
through you, Madam Chair. Is that trailer still there, Bob? The box trailer?
Yeah, that's all there. These are recent pictures.
Oh, these are all recent, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, these pictures were taken, just so you know, there was only one notice sent from my office because we did contact Mike Kennefic and showed him, he was the town council assigned to this, and we went to Superior Court. And we thought maybe we could just go back to court and get a new, renewed order from the judge. He suggested we go back to the Board of Selectmen to declare it again in violation, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
All right,
Oh,
wait a minute, Madam
yes,
So I
yes,
just wanted to reaffirm your initial question of seeing how on the agenda posted, it was 246 and not 248.
I think that this doesn't
Double check
require.
the address.
I don't, well, the notice was sent to the owner. We haven't got a return. We did not send it certified. We just sent it first class.
I think what
But for
Matt's
the
saying is
purpose
that
of the
we make
motion.
sure we have the right number in the motion here.
Well, but also too,
Then
I
we
mean,
followed the proper procedure.
right, that it was posted as 246 and not 248, and that we're in good standing with, making sure that we're posting
That's where I was
a
going
real,
with that.
the right address for the hearing.
Yeah, the right address is 248 East Washington Street.
How did we post the meeting?
It says 246.
Okay, I think out of an abundance of caution, I would like to make sure that we repost with the right address and put this on our agenda for the 18th. I don't think there's any need, Mr. Curran, for you to be there at that time unless you feel that you need to be there.
And what we'll do is we'll get a field card from the assessor's office just to make sure that we have the right address. So,
Okay.
Good idea, Laura.
Okay.
Good point.
So can I entertain a motion to table this until that particular issue is straightened out?
Can you do that?
So
You can
moved.
just do that.
Well, we're in a hearing, so I just want to make sure that we're,
So moved.
Second.
okay, all in favor? Okay, and with that, we'll close the hearing and postpone it until the 18th. Do I need to,
Close the hearing.
we're making so many motions tonight. It's
I know.
So moved.
Okay.
To close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Sorry, Laura.
Okay, thank you, guys, and thanks, Bob. Sorry to torture you that way.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, town building maintenance, identify needs and prioritization and resources. I don't know that we particularly need to discuss this tonight, but it's something I just wanted to get the board thinking about. I know several folks had mentioned that they were concerned with the state of the area around Town Hall and some other areas. And so I think we need to really try to use the limited resources that we have as a town in the most judicious way possible. And it seemed to me that the way to do that would be to gather needs from everybody in Town Hall and amongst you guys, things that you've seen that need to be addressed. So that then we can compile that and work as a team to prioritize that and see if we've got the appropriate resources here, and if not, what other resources we can free up. So that's just sort of, I just didn't want you guys getting the request from Mary sort of out of left field and not knowing what the heck I was talking about. Does that kind of make sense?
So what we're sort of going to do is like ask from the fire department, from the police department, I mean, what are your building concerns at this time?
And then, with an eye towards what we had all discussed as a group, which was potentially having like a building committee that's gonna say, you know, here's what we need, here's the priorities that we've gotten, and we have money to do X, Y, and Z. Because right now, it's very haphazard. It's really sort of squeaky wheel gets the grease, and if a particular department head thinks to put in for it at you know, our town meeting, then that will get addressed. But if somebody else doesn't think to do it, and, you know, and I think it's important that we take care of our buildings. We've had a history as a town of being accused of not doing that, and I think we can just do something about it, so we should. So that's kind of where I was coming from on that. Yes?
Question? Could you give me a couple of examples of what you're talking about?
Well, for instance, at the library, I'm just spitballing
that's
that
fine.
might be the building you might be interested in. At the, you know, if you have something where Mary Collins and Karen are saying, you know, we've got a roof problem, or we've got a leaky window, or we've got that type of thing, okay? Yeah, I mean, we're not looking for people to say, I want an addition and a gold-plated XYZ, you know, we're looking for basic bootstrap things that need to be done for maintenance. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? No?
So people are to get their things to our
you.
office?
Yep.
Right, okay.
Yep. Okay, great. So we're through with that. On to that. We're on to the town administrator, and our agenda item is to appoint an acting town administrator.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Meredith Marini as interim town administrator until such time as she is no longer needed in a said role.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. With that said, all in favor? Okay. All right, great. Mary, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you
I
for
think.
stepping up. Okay, next on the
So
agenda.
before you go too far,
Yes.
I just want, we have the auction coming up next Wednesday.
Okay.
And previously, you voted to authorize the town administrator to sign the documents at the end of the auction. Instead of having to meet next week to do that, if you want to authorize me to sign, or authorize somebody else to come to the auction and sign whatever paperwork.
So, to be clear, because when Mike was here, we had a separate motion to do that. This
Correct.
isn't because we've appointed you interim, it's just, you know, that's
Right.
this protocol for what we did before.
Right, by appointing me the interim, you give me the authority to do the acts of the town administrator. But we specifically had a separate motion for the auction. It was really so they could record it, I think.
What date's the
And
auction?
The auction is the 12th, next Wednesday.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to have Mary act on our behalf for the purposes of the auction.
And sign all documents.
And sign all appropriate.
So moved.
documents.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, great, thanks for
I
pointing
gotta
that
say,
out.
while we're on the auction, I've seen that guy a couple of times, like going out handing pamphlets, a few different places. That guy's
Oh,
all
good.
over the place.
Yeah,
Good.
And the signs on our properties look really good, so he's earning his keep so far. Well, we'll see what he gets for the properties.
well, and I thank Jim Jim really is into this, and he's really championed it, and I thank him for that.
Okay,
Just don't have a committee for it.
And
I'd be
Well, if
on
we
it.
do, you're gonna be leading it.
I'd be right there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the board's aware or not, but we did have one parcel down on Liberty Street, the commercial property.
Yes.
And that has been taken off the auction list, so in case the public was inquiring about that as well. The attorneys were a little concerned about the way the posting was. Previously, we had put out RFP and got a few bids and weren't happy with that and sent the auction this direction. But I think it's based on the way we acquired the property.
Okay.
We may not be able to sell it using that method.
Okay.
So it's been taken off for now. If we can sell it later on, this method we'll use it. But we just, out of just an abundance of caution, we don't want to sell it and then find out we used the wrong format.
All right,
So
thanks.
that's been taken off.
All right, thanks for
the
letting us
list.
know that. Next on the agenda is to approve minutes, and we've got May 21st, 2019, regular minutes. Hopefully, everybody had an opportunity to review them. Did anybody have any modifications?
I move to approve May 21st, 2019 minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and we've got our one-day liquor licenses. And because sometimes these things are surprises, We basically say to approve them as written.
So move. No?
Okay, great.
Second.
Great. All in favor? Great. Committee reports. 200th Anniversary Committee, what can I say? We had a banner day on Saturday, and I thank all of those people, and I have to say, you know, Jim and Wes, you guys were humping tables and chairs and everything else. Kenny brought the boom truck, and I know you had another commitment, Matt, but you had helped us
I was there
on the
for a little
committee.
bit.
Yeah. But we sold a lot of swag. We want to sell more. It's never enough. But we made some good money for the 200th anniversary. We'll be meeting in another couple weeks on that. And we've got a Cafe Press online store. If anybody's interested, it's Cafe Press Hanson 200th, where you can buy various things that would be wonderful Father's Day gifts. Just a little plug. Yes.
Madam Chair, is there any chance that part of the clothing line could be the cranberry-colored T-shirts in adult sizes?
I will take that under advisement. They were that T-shirt was popular, but we didn't have the larger size. And I will take that under advisement, and the committee will take that under review. Okay? Thank you. The final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee. Matt, anything on that?
Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, we did not meet.
Okay. McQuon School Reuse Committee, we are meeting tomorrow night. Hopefully Keller Williams will have some good news for us, because they've been shopping it around to see whether we can have anybody that's interested in leasing the property. And I will report back once we have more info on that. Hanson School Repair Committee, we know that that's in limbo. And Highway Building Committee, Kenny,
Yep,
anything on that?
Yep, we actually met yesterday. So we met with Weston and Sampson, and they're coming up with a timeline. We're not 100% sure that we can get this done before town meeting, because there's so much stuff that has to be done. So they're gonna come back to us with a timeline. But Mary, while we're on the subject, can you check with Kate, please? Find out where we
Documents?
are as far as transferring the deed, getting the property conveyed to the town?
Sure.
And then once I know that, then I can give you a better idea when we have our next meeting.
Did somebody have their hand up? Or,
I just.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Question about the McQuon Reuse Committee.
Oh, sure,
I
yeah.
don't want to interrupt.
No, go for it.
No, it's,
Finish and then I'll.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We so seldom have people in the audience, much less somebody that's engaged, that it threw us off. Yeah.
So David Stanton, Hanson Youth Football. I just looked for clarification. I know at the town meeting at Hansonville School, the town approved to borrow the money for the potential future demolition of the
Yes.
McQuon
Yep.
School. I'm just curious if there is any discussion on where we're at in that process, if that is a potential outcome. I know I've spoke to some of you. Right now I'm representing a lot of the youth sports in town. So for those who aren't aware, football, soccer, lacrosse, all those youth sports here in Hanson do not have a field that we can play on. So we are in talks, and the town, the CPC committee, the parks, they've been more than helpful in discussion. We're having a lot of open talks, and we're moving forward. But just, I just want to make the board aware that there are literally hundreds of kids in this town who don't have a field that they can even play on.
No, we are absolutely aware of that, and that is one of the potential uses.
Sure,
Should we take the next step of tearing the building down? But to be clear, the vote that was taken at town meeting was if we're unsuccessful. So we've taken several steps. We tried to sell it. That didn't work. We tried to do a partial reuse. That failed. We now this third and probably last chapter of potentially reusing something is to see if we can lease the property to somebody who might be willing to do something. Now, if that all falls through, then the next step would be demolition, and at which time I would not anticipate that we will have made a determination about how to use that space once the building is demolished. But certainly in the feedback that we got from the online surveys, that was one of the uses that was very strongly advocated, and so I don't know that all all of it would become that, but it certainly would be something we would consider, given the feedback that we got.
And
So
I
don't-
appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, so as an advocate for the youth sports, I just want to make sure that our voices are heard, and I totally understand, and like I said, I appreciate that. I know there are many options that we're working with, and I know that everyone from the heads from the parks, from the CPC, and we're all actively communicating, we're working towards a common goal. I just wanted to make sure that our voices is heard.
Absolutely, yeah, we know that's a need, and trust me, my kids used to play on some of the pitiful little fields, and I know that we need some more fields, so.
And not only that,
yeah.
just in the pipeline, there's a lot of new
Yep.
construction coming on, so the demographic could be changing
Yep.
very soon, sooner than later, and, go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
Is there, what time's the meeting tomorrow? Is it a meeting tomorrow?
7 or 7:30 at the police station. Yes,
Okay.
yep,
I'm gonna try to make that.
that'd be great, yeah.
And I would encourage you to continue to meet with the CPC. I know that was their forum, was primarily focused on that, and I think that's a good partnership, because regardless of whether we do, well, if we do tear down McQuon, there's gonna need to be funding to create those fields.
Sure.
And, that's something that CPC clearly, that's a permitted use under CPC.
Yeah, and so they've been great, and
yep.
just, for the record, so all the heads of the youth sports tomorrow night, Bernie Salem from the school department, the head of the parks, the recreation, we're all getting together in a room, we're trying to have an open dialogue to see if we can come to one common goal to present to the town, so.
I applaud that, and thanks for, and again, I'm sorry, I
and
didn't
thank
see you
like I
with
said,
your
you
hand
guys
up.
been more than welcome.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, I interrupted you, and it
it's
sounds
all
like we're
good.
making some
Yeah,
progress.
so we'll know on our next meeting, once the property is gonna be conveyed, and whether we can realistically meet the timeline. I mean, we're not gonna rush it. I mean, we've been waiting 4 years, so, we have
So,
to.
I'm wondering if next meeting, if time permits, and if, you're so inclined, if we might be able to get like an idea of next steps, like where you guys are at.
I'll know
next
that
steps,
once
and-
Weston and Sampson gets back, so it may not be the next meeting,
Okay.
because he hasn't told me when he's gonna get back, but
Okay.
certainly, probably by the next one after that.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, great, and with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you.